Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I was just thinking, everybody was saying that, this is the first time, we are back on the stage. I was just looking at it. The last time I was on stage was again for Zinnov. We did transformation engineering on how platform is transforming the world. Very similar topic I'm going to talk today. But with the perspective of the theme for this session in terms of what talent transformation means for a platform journey, right? So that's what I'm going to focus on today. Just to ground all of us for a minute, right? Platform businesses, I think everybody now knows platform businesses. Every industry is getting disrupted by platform. So we're going to talk about it for a minute. But inside Accenture or outside Accenture or with our enterprise companies, whichever we go through, first of all, a lot of us don't understand what a platform business really means, right? For different industries, different businesses, right? So I just want to take 30 seconds to ground all of us on the platform business. This is something I stole from Sangeet Chowdhury. People who don't know Sangeet Chowdhury, he's one of the authorities in platform revolution. We work very closely with him in Accenture. So this is how, as a firm, we define platforms and the way we take it to the market, right? So if I look at it, the transition that's happening, and there's a new transition that's coming up, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The first transition on industrial revolution was happening with the pipeline business. There's a mass production of a product, whether it's electric bulb, whether it's car, and what happened was there was a mass consumption. An electric bulb produced in US got shipped into Bangladesh and it got consumed there. And the reason for that consumption was purely because all the international trade barriers were broken, right? So that pipeline business is still there, very relevant to the marketplace, because most of us get confused that, living in Bay Area typically, that every company will have to disrupt everything and the pipeline business is dead, right? So which is what I want to correct as we go through this. The second part is what we call as the platform business. The three characteristics of a platform business, if you look at it, production is distributed, right? The production is not done by one particular mass manufacturing of anything that's happening, right? Typically, take the video, for example, YouTube video or a Spotify, the production has been completely democratized, right? You can produce videos, I can make my own indie videos and then start uploading into that. That's one part of it. The second part of it is how we have made consumption so personalized. What I consume in YouTube is fundamentally different from what you consume in YouTube, right? So that's the second part of it. Obviously powered by, we talked about a lot of things in sustainability and everything, but everything gets powered by cloud and digital connectivity, right? The reason why I'm highlighting this is, does every industry need to go and disintermediate all the three characteristics to become a platform business? The answer is no. If I look at Nike, for example, Nike is not going to distribute the production of shoes, right? But they are hyper-personalizing how you and me buy shoes, right? So that's the part they are doing, and that how they enable is through the digital connectivity and the cloud platforms, right? Now, then there is a next wave that is coming, which is the protocol business, right? But platform becomes very central to move into a protocol business. When I talk about protocol business, we are talking about Web 3.0, distributed ledger. You don't get stuck into a platform. All those things are going to happen. But for us to get there, the first part is really making your company a platform business. So if I move to this one, so there's a bottom part on how Accenture thinks about it, but how we have started seeing this from our enterprise customers' perspective. The left side is what you're seeing, typical companies born in the world of digital. They really know how to build platforms, number one, and for them, platform is the end product, right? Without a platform, that business doesn't exist at all, right? Take YouTube, for example, video platform. Take Airbnb, for example, an accommodation platform. Uber, rideshare platform. Without that platform, that business doesn't exist, right? Stripe, financial services, right? All these companies are born in the world of platforms. So that's what, you look at it from this one. So the technology transformation there and the talent transformation there is fundamentally different from what you're going to see on the right side, which is where, we are really seeing the biggest momentum happening, right? So the second part is where platform becomes an enabler for new experiences, new way of working, new way of thinking, right? And I'll give you this example, and this is a transformation we are in the process. How do you reimagine a runner experience for Nike, right? Nike's end product is still going to be shoes. Nike is not going to change that, right? They're going to make beautiful shoes. But for them to change the runner experience, right? A platform becomes a powerful enabler. We talked about, Symphony, CEO talked about AI. For AI to start operating, how to collect this data and then do it, platform becomes a big enabler. So we were reimagining this experience for a runner. Imagine one of you at the early morning runs, stops near a shop, right? One of the Nike shops, comes back home, right? Most of the Nike shoes today are enabled with IoT, right? The Nike shoes knows that you stop near a shop, right? So when you come back, the search engine knows that the person A likes this kind of shoes, right? He has been profiled with this kind of shoes, and there is an inventory in the shoes in the shop that he stopped by, right? Bringing this is like a really simple thing to do, but for us to bring through this stuff, a platform becomes a core part of the business, right? The reason why I'm touching upon this is the kind of conversations we are making. We are not doing it with retail alone, right? We are going and doing it with an energy and utility company like Baker Hughes, right? Baker Hughes wants to become a platform company. AstraZeneca wants to become the Moderna of the world, right? How platforms get disrupted becomes important in this, and this is where we genuinely think every business is going to become a platform business, not a digital business anymore, and how we are trying to do this. On the bottom, what you are seeing is, this is where it resonates with what we are going to talk today, that talent transformation, reimagining customer experience becomes very critical. Most of our enterprise customers, and we have seen this, right, fail in this transformation because they don't handle the talent part properly or the culture part properly, right? So I'll walk through that in a minute, right? So that's a quick thing on how we look at the world from platforms. So these are the three things, and this is how we are pushing in the market, and we are seeing this one resonating with the customers, and we see from an Accenture's perspective, we take a lot of pride from an Accenture perspective that we are a very industry-first approach, right? Technology is an important part of it, but industry leads the technology part of it. So if I look at how we have been positioning this platform transformation in the market, right? How we rethink of it. There are 3 R's which we are pushing in the market. One is reimagining the client business model. Whether it's, I talked about Nike, I can take any industry example. There's an example of a company called Sempra. Sempra, if you know about that, right, it does the utility business in San Diego. We created a grid platform for them, right? What happened was they found that, at 4 o'clock every day, in every zip code, there is a power surge, right? Because most of us come back from office at that time, switch on our Nest, and, really, the temperature, there is a power surge, right? What we created for them is reimagining how the customer looks at this stuff, connect the Sempra grid platform to Nest. So now what Sempra does is at different zip codes, it automatically controls the temperature at different points of time, right? Now, what we really did for them is really reimagining how their customers should be looking at it, how you take control of that. So that reimagining, that first part of it becomes very important on a platform or a digital transformation, right? The second part of it, right, and this is something which we see and very relevant to today's conversation, is how do you really redefine your organization, right? Talent transformation becomes the biggest part of it, right? While all of us love to pivot to technology, which I genuinely think is very important, any kind of this transformation, technology is not an afterthought, but if you don't redefine your ecosystem and your organization, again, the clear example of Nike, I'm not sure whether you saw this recent news article. Nike now started talking with Foot Locker, right? In the world of Bay Area companies, you would see Google talking with Facebook or Facebook talking with Apple all the time in spite of them competing, right? But in the world of a Baker Hughes, right, going and talking with Chevron, or Nike talking with Foot Locker, or we have another example, L'Oreal, we're working on a platform of beauty. L'Oreal talking with Sephora would never have happened in the old world, right? But for us to do that, it's just not about enabling the technology, how we build products inside L'Oreal, number one, and how the culture of, hey, don't build everything on your own, you need to start exposing things to the market to enable it, right? So there is a fundamental talent transformation and organization transformation that needs to happen. That's the second part. And then the third part, which I think most of us are sitting here would be comfortable, how do I really make the technology work for, to ensure this platform transformation happens? So this is the thing, right? For us, if I look at these 3 parts of, how this whole digital platform transformation is going to really enable, whatever we talk, whether it's sustainability, whether it is AI, the underlying platform becomes super important, right, for us to do this stuff. So for us, the way we look at it, platform is the engine, data is the oil. Anything you provide on this, without the engine, nothing is going to work, right? There are three components to it. And why, again, in all these three things, talent becomes the most important thing. On the left side, what you're seeing is the business alignment, right? If I look at traditional, organizations, IT has been treated as a cost function, right, most of the time. The moment you become a platform company, this one becomes so important, right? That there is an IT and business working together. The one important function which we go and disintermediate, and every company needs to get through this, is the product management, right? This is the left part of what you're seeing, right? Business and IT talking together with serious product management functionality, which many of our enterprises miss, right? Whether you take Reebok, you take Adidas, right? This functionality was missing. So that's the first part of it, which means from a talent transformation, product management as a practice, how do we build it becomes important. That's on the left side. On the right side, like I said, this is very core for how we are driving the transformation for our customers. It's the talent strategy, right? What you are trying to do. It's just not about agile operating model. It is about changing the culture of the company, changing how you reimagine your ecosystems, right? So that's the talent transformation we are doing. And then the topmost layer is really the technology transformation, right? So we have a very layered architecture. In the interest of time, I'm not going to talk about it, but how you reimagine your IT systems, your products as Lego blocks. I'll give you this example. When Epic and Apple got into this big contention, right? Most of you would know this. Epic, most of the components of pay for Epic was through Apple Pay, right? Overnight, they were able to get out of Apple Pay, right? That is because the technology talent they build and the kind of architecture that they build, which means from a talent side, bringing all these three things together is important, right? So that's the three ways we see the digital transformation is going to get accelerated and how we have to disintermediate for our enterprises. So back to reinforce my point, right? This is on the right side, you would see this. We see that, digital transformation is a very abused word. We have been talking about it for quite some time. But we still think we are at the very initial stages, and our thinking of moving towards a platform-led mindset is going to be important to accelerate this digital transformation. On the right side, you're seeing this is McKinsey's data. The market is really 70 trillion, right? The business we run in Accenture has really grown year on year over the last 5 years, easily 100 to 120% on platform transformation business, right? Very clearly resonating with the market. So I've given some examples here. So why every industry, irrespective of the industry, and I'll give you another set of examples in the next slide, how every single industry really has been transformed by platforms, right? Take Volkswagen. Volkswagen wants to become the Tesla, engineered car, one of the best, right? But when you look at, Volkswagen, whether they want to talk with discount tires tomorrow when your tire pressure goes down, how do I reimagine an ecosystem for Volkswagen? How do I make a platform that can talk with this one, right? So that's the disintermediation happening. Healthcare is really ripe, and I heard from Symphony Financial Services, right? The biggest industry which is ripe for platform transformation. So a couple of examples from our side, what we have been doing, right? If I look at Volkswagen, we built the automotive cloud platform for them, right? Sitting with Volkswagen, really transforming them into a cloud company with a software-first approach, right? So that's what we do here. So Discovery, if you look at Discovery Plus, which was launched in a year back exactly in January, it was launched. The whole transformation of building that platform, changing the culture of the organization was done by us, right? So that's the thing, right? The examples, whichever we are giving here. Again, Roche Tumor Board, right? If you look at Roche Tumor Board, this is the platform which, multiple doctors can come and guide the players, guide the patients. This is another area where we have disintermediated, right? So I'm just giving 3 examples, but every industry, give me an industry, we could give an example of why that is ripe for a platform transformation. So if I look at this one, and this is what we want to come back on today's session on the way talent transformation cuts across on all these 3 R's, right? The first one, like I said, when I talk about business and IT alignment in doing this platform transformation, we were talking with Carrier Aircon, right? With the CDO. The Carrier Aircon, once the air conditioner gets shipped, the first point of entry for data comes to the IT department, right? So the IT folks can really predict when the air conditioner is going to go down. And if they are a platform company, they can talk on their ecosystem with one of the maintenance companies and ship a maintenance engineer, right? So IT becomes a very important part on this transformation, while the product is made by the product carrier air conditioner R&D division, right? So how do I make a product management work between these two things becomes super important. So that's the talent transformation that is needed there. If I look at that, redefine, I talked about this, having a platform-centric mindset becomes very important. This is a very easy thing to talk, but from a talent transformation in terms of, how do you reimagine ecosystems, how do you reimagine your culture? So that becomes important. So that, again, is the talent transformation we are driving in the market. And the last part is the technology part, which I think all of us understand. It's a very difficult thing to do. How do I reimagine the technology talent for really building things at speed, right? So that's the part of, most of the time on the technology side, how do I build composable architectures? And for that, what kind of talent we would need becomes very important, right? That is what, we are trying to drive in here. And my last slide on this stuff, right? So if I look at it, while we talk a lot about platforms, the technology chops and everything, talent becomes the most key part for many of our customers not able to complete this journey, right? So that's what, we are trying to do this stuff. So if I look at it, how do I change your operating model, change your organization design, and enable your talent to move through this stuff, right? So this is just not a technology problem, or this is not a culture problem. It's together a three-step process of really changing your organization, bringing in talent just not on technology, but across product management, across organization culture and technology, right? So that's the three levels which we are talking about here. So workforce transformation becomes very, very important as you move through this on this journey, right? So that's my quick, 15 minutes, whatever was given to me, right? Very quick view on how we see platform transformations, right? This is really a 1 hour topic, but Vamsi said I have only 15 minutes, so I quickly ran through this stuff.
Thank you so much, Ram. Do we have any questions for Ram from in person? We actually have a question from one of our online. Oh, we do have? We have one question from our virtual audience there. The question is, business and technical product management integration are inevitable for a smooth digital transformation. How differently have the traditional and niche players in the industry responded to this specific requirement?
Yeah, so great question. This is the biggest challenge we are seeing in the market, right? Today, traditional product management is owned by the product part of the business, and they really treat, take the case of Nike, for example. The product manager would come and say that, hey, Nike needs to launch this stuff in China now, right? All IT needs to do it is to go and implement an SAP implementation of that for China. That's what was happening, right? But in the new world, IT needs to have a product manager because they need to think like a product, right? Go push back business and saying, hey, this is why we should not be launching this way, right? This is why you should not be building this because Foot Locker needs to build it, not us, right? So IT and business coming together on a two-in-a-box product management model is the most important thing, which is what is happening in the industry in pockets, right? But it takes a long time for this culture change to happen.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ram, for sharing your expertise and these wonderful gems.
Thank you. I think Vamsi has.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have one more question. Wonderful. Vamsi, go ahead.
Ram, when you're talking about, you have the vantage point of looking at multiple industries from the culture perspective, right? Whether it is from the traditional industries or the tech companies that are becoming platform companies or digital natives. What is the biggest cultural drawback or the inhibition that you see across these organizations?
The biggest one I would see is, there's multiple things, but the biggest one I'd see is this: build on everything on my own compared to what you need to enable. So I think that is the biggest difference, right? That's what Google is super good at, Facebook is super good at, right? But if I look at many of these companies, I'll take a pharma example. Moderna is super good in it, right? AstraZeneca wants to do everything on their own on drug discovery, right? If they want to expose some of these things, for the partners, that is the biggest challenge which we see in the market. If that culture changes, I think the power of platform economy comes into play, really.